Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley.
I'm Gus.
Ever since Mass Effect Andromeda release day and face planted last year and Battlefront 2 went all in on invasive microtransactions, pre-launch, one of the big question marks over 2018's been EA's upcoming live service game, Anthem. Will it be a return to form for developer BioWare or no?
Well, according to a new report, BioWare is definitely feeling the heat, because it sounds like not only is the company's entire focus being placed on the new game, with the future of BioWare perhaps riding on its success, but it's also allegedly going to miss this year's scheduled fall release date.
And on top of all that, the company's employees are getting pretty nervous about all the other controversies surrounding other persistent online world games like Destiny 2, which is reportedly...
Is there controversy there?
Anthem. Well, tiny bit of player dissatisfaction. And that's the kind of game that Anthem is reportedly going to be similar to in style. Also games with a lot of microtransactions, which describes Destiny 2. And Battlefront 2, or, described Battlefront 2 before EA pulled the panic eject in an effort to salvage that game's numbers, which worked.
Kind of. All of this comes thanks to a report from Jason Schreier, who quoted several sources inside the company for his story, and to sum it up, they're all a little freaked out.
Understandably. The big news here is that BioWare is pulling resources from basically everywhere to help finish up Anthem, and that includes most of its staff at its studios here in Austin and in Edmonton.
And the stakes couldn't be any higher for BioWare as a company. The report makes it sound like the success of the game is existentially important to BioWare.
Well, we all know EA's reputation.
Yeah, it's true. As Schreier put it, there's a sense among BioWare employees that the company's future is inextricably tied to this game.
Mind you, redirecting staff isn't anything all that new when a game gets into a crunch period. BioWare put extra people to work on other games too during their final year. We saw it with Andromeda, we saw it with Dragon Age Inquisition.
But after Andromeda flopped and forced the closure of BioWare Montreal, there's a sense that maybe BioWare can't survive another one of these, or at least the company would look very, very different if Anthem tanks.
What if they end up losing either Austin or Edmonton? That would be
Ooh.
Crazy. Schreier says that in addition to both studio locations being singularly focused on Anthem, BioWare's also moved Mark Dara, executive producer of the Dragon Age franchise, over to work on Anthem as well. That being said, Dara did indicate on Twitter this week that work is still being done on Dragon Age as well, so hey, confirmation for Dragon Age development being underway. That's some good news, right? They've said, yeah, we're working on something, but been pretty quiet about it. This is the most we've heard about Dragon Age in a while.
You gotta get through Anthem first to get there.
Oh, man.
However, that amount of focus communicates that the company is basically throwing all of its eggs into the Anthem basket, which becomes extra scary if you're under the EA umbrella. We know how quickly they like to fold studios who don't perform up to standards. Pray they don't alter the deal. That's what happened to BioWare Montreal, which was absorbed by EA Motive as well as Visceral after the end of Project Ragtag. And, well, we could list every studio they've ever purchased and shuttered, but we only got a few minutes.
Bullfrog, Westwood, Origin, NewFX, Pandemic, Playfish, Black Box, DreamWorks, Phenomic, Victory, Mythic, Maxis.
Man, I forgot about Black Box.
Yeah.
Okay, it didn't take all day, but that's still a lot.
That's a lot of studios. Yeah. And despite all that extra help, it sounds like Anthem isn't going to be coming out at the previously mentioned date they gave it at E3, which was fall 2018. Instead, it now looks like it's going to be pushed back to at least early 2019.
This would mark the second delay for Anthem, internally anyway. The first time we heard that it was a slippin' was from an investor call last year. Investors caught him slippin'. When EA CEO Andrew Wilson said Anthem's release would be pushed back past March 2018. Previously, EA expected the game to be released by the end of this March. Wow!
Yes, this soon. You can see why it slipped. At the time, Wilson announced they were pleased with Anthem's progress and said the design is stunning, gameplay mechanics are excellent, and the action will be exhilarating.
But aside from the pressure to make a good game, Schreier says that BioWare employees are feeling nervous about all kinds of other factors that are totally out of their hands. From the sound of it, they've been following the drama around Destiny 2, and players have been pissed about its issues like microtransactions, throttling XP, a lack of content, you name it.
Lack of communication.
That's another one they complain about.
Given that Anthem will occupy a similar genre space to Destiny 2, it's got a lot of devs worrying that if Anthem goes through its own growing pains before finding its legs, the game could be in trouble, which isn't totally unreasonable, especially when you take into account how voraciously Destiny's player base devours every new batch of content. If you're a developer watching all that from the outside, it's a little bit intimidating.
And meanwhile, they're also nervous about the huge backlash to Battlefront 2 and its use of microtransactions. That has apparently led BioWare to rethink its own microtransaction plan for Anthem, which still aren't finalized, but Schreier said might only involve cosmetic items.
I mean, I hope it only involves cosmetic items.
It might only involve cosmetic items? They haven't figured this out yet.
Then you should be worried. Yes, if it's only might, I mean, even better, just ditch those altogether. How about that? Still, though, all the anti-EA sentiment is apparently very understandably nerve-wracking for a company that's also owned by EA. So there's a lot of fear that maybe some of that taint from Battlefront 2 could rub off on Anthem, and no wonder.
Based on all of that, it's easy to see how the developers could be feeling that way. The game's been the subject of a lot of hype. Not only do many view it as a return of BioWare's A-Team, Edmonton,
Yay!
since Mass Effect 3, but it's also being billed as a potential Destiny killer.
Well, I think there are also a lot of people like myself who want to know if Anthem was worth essentially the death of Mass Effect, because they then shunted that Andromeda off to a rookie studio. It didn't get that great a reception, and now that franchise is on ice.
Better be good.
Exactly. All that being said, BioWare has also said in recent weeks that they're actively looking at those competitive titles to learn lessons during development, as opposed to after development, hopefully. BioWare technical design director Brennan Holmes made those comments in a Reddit thread citing Destiny 2 and The Division specifically.
And on top of all that, there's apparently some additional trepidation because of YouTubers, actually.
We did it!
Yeah. A couple of sources for the report expressed concern to Schreier that predominant YouTube voices have spread some inflammatory rhetoric about EA, painting them as Disney villains.
All that can lead to a lot of probably like demoralization for the people making the games, who obviously worry about their game suffering because people dislike their parent company and might boycott their product because they don't want anything from EA because, you know, their livelihoods are at stake. They're gonna be worried.
You know, which, as we try our best to point out, makes it important to remember every time there's a new report about a publisher like EA, at the end of the day, they're a company trying to please investors and gamers at the same time. Those things sometimes gonna be at, tug of war with one another, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, investors demand ever-increasing profits. Get that? Sure, fine. Players want polished games. That's totally reasonable. There's all kinds of accounting gymnastics and logistics to try to keep everyone satisfied. EA's often failed to do that. Sometimes it means a dip in their stock prices and investor confidence. Sometimes it means chasing that revenue at the expense of consumer satisfaction, and then everyone's mad.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that in the case of Battlefront 2, EA did listen to the players and yanked microtransactions from their game completely, despite financial risk.
The loot boxes remained, but at least you couldn't pay for them.
Yeah, at least progression was screwed up. That's more than some publishers can say when they were met with similar feedback. They took a hit on Wall Street, and it's no doubt impacted their financial projections for the game, but they haven't re-implemented them yet.
So, the short of all this is that pressure is absolutely mounting on BioWare to make Anthem a success. But does this mean Anthem is in trouble or that things are looking rocky for the game? Sometimes that's the interpretation when games are delayed, but not necessarily in this case. However, it is a heavy rock for BioWare to be pushing uphill, which is why they're putting all hands on deck.
Several of the internal sources indicated that all the new resources being poured into Anthem are making progress there, and that the game moved out of the "we're totally fucked" realm and into something more manageable. That's in quotes, by the way. We're totally fucked, so
good news.
Their words, not mine.
All of that is preferable to the alternative, and having more time to let the game bake. Allegedly, the delay is not confirmed officially as of yet, but allegedly should hopefully mean they're gonna get some extra TLC into the game that maybe Andromeda didn't quite get. Look, even though that game had, 4 or 5 years of development, if it had had that last 6 months and the game that shipped was the game with all its current patches in place, I think it would have had a way better reception. At the very least, it would have been way less meme-worthy.
Wouldn't have been a great reception, but it would have been way better.
It might not have put the franchise on ice and it got all DLC canceled.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed we see some of this progress when we get our next glimpse of Anthem. One developer recently hinted that we could see more of the game prior to E3 this year, so wow, fingers crossed, that's actually really soon then.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering that it was theoretically going to come out this year and that they haven't officially delayed it yet, you'd expect to see more pretty soon.
Well, the initial was early 2018, then they pushed to late 2018.
Yeah, but the official date they gave us was only ever late 2018.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right? We don't count as investors.
No.
Anyway, what do you guys think of the report that BioWare is betting big on Anthem and that the game is potentially slipping to 2019? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on Anthem, remember to like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the know. There's a sense among BioWare employees that the company's future is inextricably, I don't know, fucked up. Out of it, they've been following the drama around Destiny 2, and players who have been pissed about its issues like microtransactions, throttling XP, a lack of communication.
Lack of communication as well.
I know, I knew that's what was on my mind, and I said instead of that.